What's going on there, Twitch and YouTube world? Holosightz TV here with your October's edition of Loadouts to Win Games. Before we deep dive into what I think is going to help you get the W, let's just give a round of applause. Round of applause for the OTGDF team. Finally, I feel like we're headed in the right direction. Is it too late for the game? That's a real hard thing to say. But quickly just glancing at some of the patch notes that you could find there in Discord, it seems like things are headed in the right direction. We fixed our bunny hop. Weapons are starting to return to their original form. Brand new dodge ability has been added to the game. We're getting a brand new limb called the Painkiller, which is going to add some more support, play, diversifying what we're going to be experiencing. And it seems like the nerfs and changes and tweaks are not being too overdone. So since we're here to talk about loadouts today, I'm only going to focus on the weapons. But I just wanted to say these last two patches have addressed some pretty big issues that I think a lot of players were either frustrated or complaining about. So thank you, Off the Grid. Finally getting it. Let's dive right in. First off, we're going to talk about attachments here. You can see horizontal recoil increases are going to be 40%. So they reduced this a little bit, and the vertical recoil as well. So as you can see, it was originally 60-70. So this is going to make just the game a lot more beginner friendly, make things a lot easier. I think for the PC crowd, knowing that we have to go against these aim demons on controller, any type of reduction in that's always a bonus. I don't think it was needed, but hey, I'll take it. AR heavy stocks are going to have a recoil reduction as well. We could see horizontal recoil is now 25% and the vertical recoil is now 15%. So big changes. Positive in my opinion, beginner friendly in my opinion, definitely the right way to probably attract a few more players to the game. And I think it's probably now a good time for them to maybe start pumping the brakes on recoil fixes and adjustments. Just let it ride for a little while. When it comes to weapons used by the NPCs, they are now going to be rebalanced and should result in more consistent damage between different weapons. So about those locals, Holmes, or really our friends here, the Nustro Diablos, are going to have a variety of different weapons and probably not be smacking you as hard unless it's a gun that's supposed to be smacking you that hard. It also means that when we kill them, we're going to be able to scoop those off the ground and use them for ourselves, along with the ammo drops that they're going to have. Before, it seemed like the only benefit was shooting them for assault rifles and assault rifle ammo. So now I look forward to, maybe farming those guys, snag a hex, and getting something a little bit spicy. Now, when it comes to the weapon changes, and I'll get through this quickly because I know what you're here for, loadouts, baby. We got a big change to the Type 227. I think it is going to be, honestly, a pretty fair trade-off. We got an increase in damage, and then we got a decrease in the overall fire rate. Kind of giving me spooky, old school type, I don't know, OG 227, which was really broken. Realistically, the 227's been broken the entire time the game's been around, just like the T9. And I think it's going to be like the old Prime T9, kind of a slower fire rate, high damage pistol. So it doesn't matter that you see a rate drop on there. I think it's going to be cooking. Cleanser gets a beautiful update to return it to its original form. I never really felt it was overpowered except the Chemtech. So it's nice to see that, considering the influencer got some love there in the previous patch. The one I am excited to tell you all about is the Ninja Kestrel finally got some love. As you can see, the ADS time was reduced, and this should help fix accuracy whenever we are quick scoping. I really need to test this because this is something that I had addressed in some of my videos a while back, and it didn't seem like they were ever really actually doing something to address or fix this. So hopefully it's true and not just talking the talk. Vulture gets a nerf, and let me rephrase that, the Vulture Solana, which has arguably been the most broken AR in the game, except maybe the Pink Fury, but I would say the Solana was edging it out from a damage perspective, so it is nice to see this actually get reduced. We got 2 hits to that particular weapon. As you can see, we have increased vertical recoil about 6% and a damage range bonus that was reduced from 15 to 10%. So I think this is going to push some of those other weapons that were in a really good spot already back up to the top. Maybe the Red Ant, the Pink Fury that, in my opinion, was pretty close to it. Those are going to feel pretty normalized. M4 should probably feel a little bit better as well with the assault rifle changes, reducing the recoil on those across the board, as well as the heavy stock changes. So we're going to do some testing on that, and I'll let you know how I feel about things. Not a whole lot to really talk about when it comes to, Cyberlimbs. I think all of these are pretty straightforward. I think the big one here is going to be the bounce bomber arm getting the reduced charges. We all know how broken that limb was and kind of getting a little bit abused, so I'm very happy to see it. And this is an interesting one. Basic melee attacks now damage the player through the shield. So, it felt like that thing was kind of making them a little bit invincible, but honestly, if you want to run up to them and melee them, and you're smart enough not to shoot some bullets to get yourself blown away, might not be a bad play. I'd like to see the devs double down on the melee and make it a little bit stronger. Everything else is pretty straightforward. Mirror Breaker is where we notice a good variety of changes. As you can see, Clone now copies the direction of the player movement. There is a new visualization for friendly players. Increased charge count to 3. Increased mirror lifespan to 12. So those are changes to the rare and epic limb. And then they decrease the cooldown by 3 seconds for all rarities. So I think this is going to be a really strong limb. One of the things I think a lot of people are sleeping on is that you can get out of virtually everything with this limb. So, if someone sticks you with a phosphor fury, get out of it. Things of that nature. Someone's got you locked on with some rockets. Use this, get out of it, in terms of direct hit and being able to shake things up a little bit. Roadrunner now gradually accelerates and decelerates speed on use. They rework the cooldown after reaching 0%, allows activation while mantling, which I think is going to really diversify and kind of create more fluidity in the gameplay. Skunk Paw, pretty straightforward, and Painkiller, we are going to have to wait and find out what more is in store. But oh man, I know this probably was a little bit of a long-winded intro, but man, thank you, Off the Grid. Finally getting your shit together, and it makes me happy, makes me smile. Now, on to the game. If you logged in this week, you're going to notice there's a nice daily hex, and we got some new items for you to claim if you are a, OTG first anniversary daily login user. So make sure you go ahead and claim that. And Lobobo has now released. I'm going to be honest with y'all, that skin is fucking hideous. But if you like it, more power to you. Take it for a spin, and don't forget to hop in, check out your battle passes that now has been updated, and get to cooking on that. OTG Pro members are going to need to make sure that they are subscribed. I'm still feeding off of the months and months of beta testing and the constant monthly purchases by using the extend with gun option. So I encourage a lot of you to do that. If you got a lot of crap in your inventory, maybe sell some of those doubles or all that extra junk, and I don't know, buy yourself a couple months. I still just don't know if the game's in a place where I would want to go ahead and throw my money at it. But without further ado, let's get into the loadouts, ladies and gents. First and foremost, we do still have the Vulture Solana. I think it's going to remain a staple within the game. Don't let the 6% and the damage range nerfs fool you. It's being used by most players for a reason, and it's just because it's an effective all-around tool. Recoil doesn't feel too out of control, and if you do feel like you want to maybe have something tone that down a little bit, I still think the Pink Fury is fantastic. As you can see, you get a faster fire rate, a little bit of change in the damage that they don't really talk about, right? Because this is based on the item itself being a specialty item in the game. But the Pink Fury Vulture is still a fantastic weapon, so make sure you're taking that for a spin. Don't need to go over any build options on those weapons since they are pre-kitted or pre-crafted in the store. I guess the Pink Fairy, however, you can modify, so we will quickly take a look at that, and this is what's working for me. Vulture Reflex Sight, Vulture Heavy Barrel, noise suppressor for the Vulture, and a Vulture drum mag. This for me just kind of boosts the accuracy, boosts the range, and makes it a little bit more reliable when I'm taking fights. I think with the nerfs to the Solana, I think the Pink Fairy is going to be in a great spot, especially because of the range nerf, and the fire rate increase on this particular version will help you kind of close that gap, that 6% damage differential that has now been taken away from the Solana variant. Ninja Kestrel is back, baby, as we had seen there with the 20%. I think the gun was already feeling a lot better in terms of scoped gameplay and just accuracy, or really just bullet registration. But I am a fan of quick scoping more than I am hard scoping. So we're going to test that, get back to you on that. But I do think the Ninja Kestrel is going to be the sauce. So since that one is a pre-build already put together for you, there's really not a whole lot that honestly I'm going to spend a lot of time on that. Take it for a spin. See if you win. Next up is going to be the AZV Doom Zero. I've done a lot of tweaking and testing with this particular weapon, and it's back, baby. It is back. Now, you might be looking at this weapon and going, a 2.5? Yes. Taking a look at the stats on this, we get a huge, if not the most practical boost when it comes to reducing vertical and horizontal recoil on that particular attachment. So that is the what and why behind that. We get 10%, 14%, and we're never really going to be in a situation that we need to ADS with this weapon. I think a lot of the core gameplay you're going to find in the game will really focus on what are you able to do from a third-person perspective. So we're going to start off with that, and then we add the rugged suppressor for the AZV-100, also going to continue to boost the recoil stats there and improve our long-range distance and accuracy. As you can see down on the bar below, recoil control and accuracy are pretty boosted up. A 100 compact laser pointer is definitely going to be a must, and then the angled foregrip will go ahead and wrap up this particular build. This is probably one of the fastest fire rate weapons in the game right now. It's actually insane. Nobody is doing you dirty or using anything. It really is just shooting that fast. And it did just get a buff from the dev team. So the AZV is going to be back full force. Great weapon. Take it for a spin. Next is going to be the Proton. Now, there's a lot of guys who are building this in different ways. To each their own, right? As I tell you every single time. And for me, what's working is the Proton Heavy Barrel, the rugged suppressor for the Proton barrel cooler, and the slimmed angled foregrip. And I think this is where we're getting a lot of change, or there's a lot of difference between my build and others, is particularly the foregrip. So I want to show you this because the reason why I like this is, look at this. There's no penalties to using this attachment. There's a significant sway reduction. If you ever use this weapon and just aim down, just like look down off a building, you're going to notice a lot of sway and bob. And I think when we're in the air having those exchanges with other players, we don't really pay attention to how much the sway actually affects our aim. Not to mention, we get a major boost in the ADS time that we're actually getting back from one of the other attachments that we have on here. So I have found through testing that this has drastically increased my overall accuracy when I'm on the move with roadrunners, when I'm jumping off of buildings, doing flight chases, and exchanging shots in the air with other people, and most importantly, when I am shooting down, right, vertically off of a high point to maybe another building or a player below me. Take it for a spin. It is a great gun. I think it's still the best gun for me right now in this current patch or meta. I've always been a fan of the Proton since the old days. It's like 1 year went by, right? And now we're back to that. And it's great to see it kind of back in its prime full form. AZV Doom Zero being combined with kind of any combination, such as the Solana, is probably going to be very common in the game right now. This isn't necessarily the build that I'm going to show you now, but I just figured I'd throw that out there because I think it's going to be great. Some honorable mentions that we want to make sure that we're not leaving out are actually going to be the Terracon variants. Both of them are pretty decent. The Terracon Maniac is still a fan favorite by a lot of players out there in the community. Remember, this is one that you can edit or change and make some adjustments to the attachments. Here's what's working for me. We got the Gen 2 Holosightz, the noise suppressor for the Terracon, drum mag, and the Terracon tactical foregrip. Works great. Very effective. Very, very accurate. I think out of all the assault rifles right now, this is probably the most accurate. So if you're looking for something that's kind of controller friendly, as well as PC friendly, or just player friendly, the Maniac's got you covered. Now, another honorable mention is going to actually be the brand new Terracon Sparky. Look at that accuracy bar. Pretty much the same as the other one, but you get drastic increases in the handling of this particular weapon. So whenever you're using things like roadrunners, for example, or maybe you're leaping in the air, there's a lot of really crisp aimability for this particular weapon. And I think the other thing that needs to be kind of mentioned is the rapid reload speed that this gun gives you. Learn a little bit more about that by reading the description under the Terracon Sparky, but it is a good gun. Do I think it's like top cream of the crop meta? Not necessarily, but I would use it if you got, you got it. If you were playing last month's Battle Pass, take it for a spin, see if you win. Another honorable mention is going to be the Mavinga Red Ant with some of the changes to the ARs, in particular the heavy stocks having a reduction in how much they were affecting recoil. I think this gun is back. Remember, it is a little bit slow on the overall rate of fire, but it absolutely hurts and is going to treat you really, really well in your exchanges. Again, it's a pre-built weapon, so I don't have any attachments or anything to deep dive when it comes to assembling this gun. Just take it for a spin and see if you win. Now, when it comes to the M4, it's kind of in a weird place right now, and honestly, this is what's working for me. So I'm just going to quickly show you. I'm using the heavy stock, especially with the changes, making things a little bit better. The noise suppressor, the angled foregrip, and the drum mag. Pretty standard status quo M4 build. I think it's right kind of in that like top mid area, and I'm happy to see that it just didn't get returned to glory because this gun kind of ran the community for a very long time. Would I still recommend the Enforcer variant? Absolutely. If you can, use it. If you have the old M4 Commodore controller, also a really great weapon. Same thing with the M4 Apex Predator. Remember, both these guns are pre-built. They are pay-to-win weapons that you had to have been subscribed for. Or if you want, you can put all the slave labor of getting hexes and cashing them out, selling them on the marketplace, and buying some of these if you're looking for really user-friendly weapons. The M4 is still a really great gun. It's just not at the top of the wolf pack. And yes, I would take both the Vulture and the Terracon over that particular weapon. When it comes to using the Casper build, I've got a lot of people asking if I use the Casper or what they do recommend. This is what's been working for me. The only other maybe change I would probably make is ditching the suppressor, but I like to have it mainly for the fall off range and the muzzle velocity. But I think maybe putting a compensator on there for just a little bit of added recoil assistance never hurts. I don't have any issues with spread when it comes to this weapon. But if it's an assault rifle and you want to focus on that long range build, Gen 2 Holo, heavy barrel, noise suppressor, and the Casper drum mag should do you just fine. So that about wraps up some of the honorable mentions when it comes to your assault rifles. Let's get into honorable mentions when it comes to the SMG category. We've already talked about AZV. I do think it's cream of the crop right now. Definitely top dog. When it comes to the Tacoma, can't talk today. This is what I've been using. I personally don't use this weapon enough to say that it's probably the best variant of it. So if there's some other folks out there taking this for a spin, grab their recommendations. I've kept this the same for probably the last 3 or 4 patches. It's just not a gun that I'm going to use over the AZV or even a kite currently in the meta. So heavy barrel, noise suppressor, compact laser, drum mag. Take that for a spin. Another one that I think is going to be huge is the Kite Liberator. This is one that it's just good. It's trusted. 44 rounds is plenty to take out your opponent. It's great off the hip. It's great when getting exchanges with people. You don't got to worry about what you're putting on it because it's already pre-assembled. So that's my recommendation for you. Kite Liberator, top 3, easy peasy, great weapon. Now, when it comes to any of the other kites, I think they're all kind of mid-range. I don't know if they're like, oh my God, this is so amazing. If you want something that's absolutely slaps, hits like a truck, you're more than welcome to take the Buzzboy out for a run. But I do think that the recoil is a little bit too intense to make it be able to compete with something like the Liberator. And then honestly, when it comes to just like my regular kite build, I'm not using anything too crazy on it. Compact, heavy barrel drum mag, laser pointer, very similar to the Liberator, with the difference actually being the barrel and the muzzle combination that they give to you for free on the weapon. But great accuracy on here. It's just a good gun all around. And yes, me personally, I would use that over Tacoma. I had Fury Banana here, so it's make sure we're not skipping over it. When it comes to the Woodpecker, definitely gonna recommend the Bananizer. It's busted, right? If you can get your hands on the Prankster variant of the Woodpecker, those are gonna be your two recommended just woodpecker flavors. Remember, when it comes to the Bananizer, it's very, very slow. Therefore, it's very hard to get a kill if you miss a single bullet, and the low mag doesn't really help you out too much. Same thing kind of goes with the Prankster, except you got a little bit of a better fire rate. And again, the mag size just kind of holds this gun back from really shining in comparison to the rest of the weapons. If you get pushed by two players, you're going to have a tough time. Hit those headshots, and you should be in a pretty good spot. Let's not forget the Kochi. I do have a Kochi build that I'll go ahead and share with you. This is what I have used for myself personally: the Kochi Heavy Barrel, Compact Laser Pointer, Slim Foregrip, and the Drum Mag. However, I do think if we're going to talk about the Kochi, the El Diablo is actually pretty fire in this meta right now. It just has a lot of stopping power. It hits like a truck, and it feels good, to be honest with you. I've been using it a lot, kind of off and on, mixing it in and out of my loadouts. So that's going to be the last and final SMG in the honorable mention category that I'm going to go ahead and recommend for players to use. Let's round it out by talking a little bit about shotguns. When it comes to the Flenser family, I still think that the Flenser Chemtech is the king. I don't really recommend using any other type of Flenser except that particular model. So that's that. When it comes to the influencers, the TBI, to be honest with you, it's not too bad. But I do have my own build that I've been using a little bit, and it is going to be the following: Influencer Light Stock, Reflex Sight, Influencer Lightweight Barrel, and the Influencer Flashlight. This one's really just meant to kind of be one of those nice up close and personal type shotguns. I haven't had too many issues with it, and I think this weapon has felt great within the last 2 patches, whereas maybe 3 patches ago it felt like shite. So I'm glad to see the devs kind of put that in a good place. If you are going to use a shotgun right now, my personal recommendation is definitely going to be the Flenser. We're not even going to talk about the Squall, kind of a shitty gun right now. I would like to see maybe a little bit more love be shown to that particular weapon. Let's get into the LMG family, and to be honest with you, there's really nothing here that I'm gonna like flex or brag about. None of these guns are really able to compete with the assault rifle category right now. I think the Hawk cleanup crew, pretty decent. Take that for a spin. If you don't have a Hawk cleanup crew, then just don't use the Hawk. That's truly my recommendation. When it comes to the boom slang, honestly, they're all kind of the same. You could build this gun any way, shape, or form. They're all going to pretty much feel exactly alike. Second Amendment is decent. Here is my personal boom slang build. I'm using heavy stock, reflex sight, lightweight barrel, and the boom slang drum mag. But again, more so in that honorable mention category. I wouldn't use either of the LMGs right now. They just really don't feel like they're able to compete too much. We are in an era where we are definitely focused on the Marksmen Rifles. I think they all feel absolutely fantastic. The Kofefe is absolutely a slapper. If you're looking to build something similar to it on your own, I do have my own Ichnya build. I have kind of played with it a little bit. Honestly, 15 rounds is more than enough to, take care of your opponent. The reason I go with this particular setup is just the real big bonuses when it comes to range and accuracy. There's not a whole lot of penalties that I'm going to get with this particular setup. So I'm using the holographic sight, the heavy barrel, the compensator, and the laser pointer. There are some folks there who may want to swap out one of these attachments for the extended mag and, just get that extra 5 bullets. I don't really think extra 5 bullets is worth the gains that you're going to get from this weapon. But the Ichnev freaking slaps. Do not sleep on it. It is hands down one of the nastiest weapons in the game right now. And if you want to see that proton build one more time, I did want to bring it up for you and just show it on the screen. So heavy barrel, rugged suppressor, cooler, and the slim angled foregrip again for that sway control. Last honorable mention that I'll have for the Marksmen Rifles is the Proton Drifter is fantastic. So take that for a spin if you like it. And I don't use the Proton in ADS. It's strictly a third-person view shooter for me. To wrap things up, let's talk about sniper rifles, and we will go ahead and close it out with the pistols. Piercer family, start off. Piercer mouse, decent. Use it if you got it and can't afford any of the parts. Here's my Piercer build for people. 8x adjustable MR sight, lightweight barrel, the noise suppressor, and the angled foregrip. Same build as it has been. I haven't really changed anything on it. It feels good the way it is. There's really not any motivation to, make an additional adjustment for it. Now, when it comes to other sniper rifles in that same category, Osprey, still shit. I really would like to see them just buff the gun. Just buff the gun. It doesn't feel good. I would rather use any of the Marksmen Rifles for a semi-automatic experience, or a faster fire rate semi-automatic experience. So I don't have any recommendations, no builds, nothing there I'm going to pull out for you. You know what, devs? Maybe it'd be cool in these next couple battle passes to give a very unique, redefined Osprey. I would like to see that gun kind of come out the darkness. Kestrel family, man, Ninja Kestrel definitely going to be back on top. One of my favorites. The Kestrel Punisher is also going to be a fantastic variant of the weapon as well. And when it comes to either using like the Kestrel or the Kestrel Templar, that's going to be C, right? So we got A tier, B tier, C tier will be any of these two that you prefer, right? So me personally, I'm going to use the Templar over the regular Kestrel, but there's a lot of players out there who weren't around to get themselves a Templar. So if you're looking for a build that I recommend, I'm going to quickly open that up and let you take a look at it. So red dot compact sight, you can swap this to anything that you want. I've been doing a lot of no scope gameplay with this particular version. So just put a longer scope on there if that's what you prefer. Lightweight barrel, Kestrel laser pointer, and then the foregrip. And if you were to take a look at the Templar variant of that, I've kind of mixed it up a little bit. So I've been using the Kestrel light stock, 3x scope, foregrip for the Kestrel, and the laser pointer. Truthfully, this gun is totally an experiment, but I've actually had some reasonable success with it. If you go in my game history, I just dropped like a 21-0 game like 2 days ago, and I was using this as my primary and had a lot of fun with it. But if I were to choose any long range option right now, it's going to be the Proton. Proton's just like so goated. I can't stop using it. If I ever die, that I'm gonna buy a loadout with the Proton. So just some Kestrel food for thought. And again, right now, if I did have to pick any Kestrel other than my random success with the experiment, it's going to be the Ninja Kestrel or the Punisher. So honorable mentions to wrap things up. When it comes to the pistol category, we got the T9s up in here. They're all pretty similar. Honestly, I don't really think that there's one better than the other. I like the All-Stars. I still think it feels fine. The fire rate feels good on it. Recoil's not crazy. You get a little bit more ammo than something like the Crackerjack. Pacifist, I personally could never recommend this version. It's too slow, doesn't feel good, and I would rather just use the regular one. Right, you get more rounds, more bullets, and you're gonna have better success with it. If you're curious what that Tab 9 might look like, here is my build. I use the heavy barrel, noise suppressor, light grip, and the drum mag. Personally, I don't think pistols are worth the extra cost in your loadout, so I just kind of scrap that right now. When it comes to the Type 227, remember we did just get a nice little buff to this weapon, and I've always been a fan of actually all three of these. All three feel really, really great, so just kind of play around and see what you like. Sleigh Baller would be my favorite out of all three. Impact Junkie next, Flatliner after that. I really just, there's not a lot of difference between any of those variants. They just kind of look good. When it comes to the Kelowna, I still would say the Shinobi and El Diablo are going to be top tier. Shinobi, if you're looking for something a little bit faster in the fire rate with better accuracy, and if you're looking for something that just hits like a truck, El Diablo is going to be great for you. A little bit easier to aim, I guess, than no, they're pretty much the same. I would say the El Diablo just it feels easier to aim because you can't shoot it as fast. But if you're a really great shot, um, use the Shinobi, in my opinion. Those extra bullets hurt, and being able to shoot a little quicker helps you get to the target. Again, do I recommend using any of the sidearms right now? Nah, not particularly. So I gave you all a little bit of a more long-winded breakdown of all the weapons instead of just the fan favorites right now. Mainly because I haven't been putting out a lot of content, and I know folks were kind of waiting on, what was like the cream of the crop, just in general, like what works. Again, my recommendations for everybody are going to be either of the vultures. I would choose the Solana as number 1, Pink Fury as number 2. The next thing I would recommend for SMGs is either the Kite Liberator or the AZV-100 Doom variant. Here's that build one more time up on your screen. Take it for a spin, see if you win. Proton is going to be the best in the Marksman series across the board. Heavy barrel suppressor, barrel cooler, and the slim foregrip. And don't forget, when it comes to sniper rifles, I do recommend the Ninja Kestrel. That honestly is going to kind of wrap things up. Everything else that you see in my loadouts are really just going to be for experimentation, or I just think they're battling it out for, C and or B and C tier. They're not all like in that A tier category. So that's why I'm sticking to my very limited pool of guns that are going to be working best for me. So find what works best for you. All right, let's get into the limb meta right now, which I actually think, I can't believe I'm going to say this, is the best limb meta that we've had probably since last October. It's been a full year since we've had a reasonable meta where everything plays a huge role. So first and foremost, we're just going to go down the list, and I'm going to give you a rating on these limbs. Bounce Bomber. With this actually getting a nerf, we're going to drop this down to, I'd say, A, just a flat A tier. It's a great limb for folks who know how to combo mines and stuff with it. It's strong, right? Now that you get a little bit less charges with it, however, I do think that's going to kind of hold a lot of players back. I don't know about you, but it's usually the third bounce bomb that seems to have got me or really taken me out. But two of them, I think I can outplay that and survive long enough to make it happen. Buzz Killer is going to be in the C tier. It had a little bit of a heyday 3-4 patches ago when they decided to crank it out the woozah, but it feels good right now. I don't really have any problems with it. Use it if you want to be cheeky. One of the things that I do like to do is kind of put it on the other side of a building and chase somebody through the opposite side, so that way when they're running away or maybe at the top of an elevator, I'll send the drone up to the top of the elevator, so then I can get into a chase with that said player. They take the rope, and my buzz killer's there to kind of surprise motherfucker, take them out the game. Ghost is Ghost. I would say I'm gonna put it in B tier. If it's used properly, it's still a really, really strong limb. But with the resurgence of Paralyzer and of course, a lot of folks using like Mirror, Ghost has kind of lost a little bit of spotlight because they both kind of offer the same benefit, which is like take you off of the focus of where I am and how I'm moving, right? When you think about Mirror Breaker, for example, those 3 targets can be pretty confusing when used effectively. Not to mention, it gets you out of shit. Ghost doesn't get you out of shit. Hookshot, S tier, always will be. Greatest limb in the game, no questions asked. Vertical mobility when you need it. You can run road runners with it. It gets you in the air. You can pull people to you. There's a lot of folks right now who are using the hookshot in combination, with the legs that slash right over here. I can't speak today, so I have to look them up. But basically, you'll use those with the Cyber Lancers. It finally came to me. But yeah, hookshot, Cyber Lancer, disgusting combo. Hookshot, Slam Fist, disgusting combo. So yeah, that's going to be S tier. Javelina's S tier. You know, right now when we think about scrims or anything in a competitive environment, this is getting banned by a lot of players. So if you're going to start getting into the more like private scene of the game where folks are hanging out in discords and stuff like that, be prepared to be told that you cannot use this limb. It's broken. It's bad. It does not take any sort of skill. And the fact that you can have two of them, and let's think about it, multiply that by 2 and 2 with your other teammates, can really make fights frustrating and annoying. And it's S tier because it doesn't take any skill to use. S tier is going to be the kinetic shield. I think it's slept on. If you want a realistic opinion, it's S tier in the right hands, putting it more so in that A plus tier. Really great limb. You just got to know what you're doing with it. So I think the more you use it, the more efficient and proficient you're going to become with it. A lot of people now like to use the kinetic shield with something like Slam Fist or the Cyber Lancers. Right, blow you in the face, you're gonna get a shield crack, and then they knee you in the nuts, and you're bleeding out all over the place, or Slam Fist you to the floor. Really great gun. Maxi gun, A tier for sure. I think about the days when this first came out, and God, it was so ass. It's a really great tool now. Use it when you're falling down on players and you have an extreme amount of height to get yourself ready. I do recommend ensuring you have something to get you out of the maxi gun animation. Mirror breakers can help you with that. Slam fist can help you with that. So just some food for thought on limbs that you may want to consider in pairing with the maxi gun. If your teammates are taking a fight, land on the building across from everybody and just get to work. It's a really slept on limb, and I'm glad to see it kind of have a place in the meta after having such a rough start. Paralyzer, I would say S tier. It's A plus tier, honestly. We're gonna kind of treat it like kinetic shield, in my opinion. But it's so good now. Man, you guys had this be the most broken limb in the game, and then you turned it into the most dog shit limb in the game, and now you have managed to really put it in a place that I think is perfect. Proud of you, OTG devs. I knew you could do it. So this limb honestly does what it does, paralyzes you. You don't really have an ability to use any of your limbs. So when people land on you, you're not like glued to the floor or anything, but you don't have a get out of jail free card. So it's a great opener. It's a great tide turner. You can find a player who's just literally shredding everybody, schmooving and moving, using his road runners and stuff like that to break your ankles or grapple hookling away when you had them dead to rights. Well, guess what? Paralyzer is going to make sure that there's no get out of jail free card. So it continues to do what it did before in a less overpowered manner, and that is securing the kill, locking you down, paralyzing you, and living up to its name. Phosphor Fury, A tier, great limb, skill based, could be S tier in the right hands. Do I think it's like up there? No, I actually would say Javelinas are like much more frightening. Someone hits me with a Phosphor Fury, they earned it. But it's very easy to outplay, very easy to dodge. Recon gonna be A tier as well. I recommend folks always have at least one team member using the recon drone. It's a support limb. Data wins games. Simple as that. Ripper. This is kind of subjective, but I'm gonna give Ripper like a B minus. I think out of all the limbs right now, it's probably one of the weakest. I would recommend Slam Fist over Ripper. There's a lot of times where you think you're gonna get a good slice on somebody and kind of turn the fight in your favor. But with other limbs able to really just kind of lock you down and turn the tide of the fight, especially like Paralyzer, Ripper's kind of faded to the back. There's going to be other players who swear by this limb, think it's the greatest thing ever, but I'm happy to see it in this position after having such a long run of being a dominant limb. Skunk Paw, really good limb. I'm going to give it an A minus, but it is great. The plume has been increased a lot more. The damage tick kicks a lot harder. It's rapid. It's fast. There's a lot of people who like to pair this with the mirror. And the fact, it doesn't hurt the person that ejected it originally really kind of spices things up in the fight. Caution, make sure if you're running Skunk Paw, you are also running recon drone. They actually make a pretty good pairing together. So if you're looking for something that, just to kind of mix it up and try different, Skunk Paw, very effective flip. Slam Fist, honestly, Slam Fist I'm gonna put that in like the A tier. It's not S tier like it once was. There's a little bit slower reaction from it. The damage on it is really balanced. I don't think it's super overpowered. But it's still one of the best items in terms of just general mobility, helping you get out of really sticky situations quick and efficiently. So use it, folks. Great limb. Slugger, honestly, Slugger is the new Paralyzer. Um, However, it's hard to use effectively. So we're gonna give it an A minus. And last but not least, we have the Trip Mine and Painkiller. Trip Mine, B tier. Use it with the bounce bombers if you're S tier comboing that together. But other than that, it's cheeky, it's dodgeable, it's readable. And most good players spend so much time in the air that they just don't really have a lot of value. And if you kill somebody with it, they were really not paying attention or just a complete bot. Painkillers, no freaking idea. Stay tuned. We'll find out more with this particular update, and I'm excited to see where the meta kind of goes here in the future. All right, let's talk about legs, because man, back in the day, all my videos, I pretty much told you one thing. Roadrunners are goated, and well, leapers are close second with hammerheads in the third. And I think we have finally got ourselves a meta where that is no longer the case. I would say all legs, with the exception of thumpers right now, are kind of S tier. Maybe leapers being A tier. Cyberlancers, absolutely S tier. Especially when comboed with a lot of your arms. Slam Fist as an example, Kinetic Shield as an example. You can check out my last video where I was talking a little bit about that Mortal Kombat loadout. It's disgusting. And really is going to, change the fight. There's also a lot of people who pair Skunk Paw with the Cyberlancer, right? Put the plume out, you're getting tick, tick, tick damage. They knee you in your motherfucking face, and now you're getting tick, tick damage. And it can be so fast that it's hard for you to keep up with and control and get out of the fight safely. Hammerheads, great, still good, especially when paired with something like Slam Fist or even Hookshot, right? I've seen a new meta now where people will hammerhead you, and then as you are getting knocked back, pull you over here like Scorpion, and continue to do work with their weapon afterwards. So great limb, strong. Leapers always will be great. I think if you're pairing this with something like Javelinas, if you're one of those cheeky bastards who are running double Javelinas, very, very strong. You want to stay and be in the air as much as humanly possible. So that's what Leapers is going to allow you to do. Mirror breakers. Let's pause on this for a minute. Mirror breakers are so slept on, ladies and gents. They are absolutely broken. When people are locked on with Javelinas, when people have you stuck dead to rights with a Phosphor Fury, right? This is part of the reason I didn't give Phosphor Fury an S tier anymore, because so many people are running mirror breakers, right? As soon as they get stuck, they just pop mirror breakers and it gets them out of it. Honestly, it gets them out of everything. I played a game the other day and it got me out of Slugger, for Christ's sake. So if something is holding you back, or the only thing I think you can't get out of is Paralyzer, obviously. But mirror breakers are absolutely busted, but they're not so busted that they're game breaking. What an awesome limb from the development team. Nice job. Roadrunners, S tier, cream of the crop. I still think going to be the #1 most used limb in the entire game. So there's really no question about that. We don't got to talk about that too much. And thumpers. Thumpers suck. But if you're good with them, use them. Like if you ever played PUBG or like what was it, Black Ops or a couple other games, it's like finding a mortar on the ground. Like you might get a kill with it. But it's not like S tier. I think what the devs could consider doing to bring this limb back into being a little bit more up there with the rest of the leg family is increase how quickly it activates. There's so many. It's kind of like the maxi gun where the animation to get into using this is so long, it loses value almost instantly. So I think that about wraps it up. To close things out, again, my weapons right now, I've been mixing them all up, so don't go off of what you see these titles or what you see. Everything I gave you at the beginning is what I'm going to recommend. But let's talk about limbs. Me personally, I think Recon Drone, Roadrunners, Slam Fist with a Soldier Backpack are a fantastic combination. I use that on like 90% of my loadouts right now. If I don't use Slam Fist, I'm going to be using Hookshot as the trade out. So Hookshot, Roadrunners, Recon Drone with the Soldier Backpack. I always like to play a support role for my team, especially if I'm playing with stronger fraggers than myself. They like that data. I like that data, and it puts us in a great position. I think staying in the air as much as I possibly can when I'm not able to use my Roadrunners is key. And it helps me just be able to chase and stay on my opponent's ass as much as possible, because we all know everybody likes to just hit and run when playing this video game. So Slam Fist, Roadrunners, Recon, Hookshot, Cyberlanders. Slam Fist is definitely going to be another one. It's kind of that Mortal Kombat loadout. So I like to pull folks to me, knee them in the nuts, and then punch them in the face afterwards. And usually by the time I'm done punching them in the face, I can hit them with one more Cyberlancer and finish the deal. Or, reposition, shoot a couple bullets, and that finishes the deal. So that's probably my third loadout I'm going to recommend for folks. That's what works for me. It works for a lot of my teammates too. Double Javelina, it's broken. Remember, if you want to kind of earn the respect of the community, or you're going to be playing in those more isolated events or scrims or tournaments, this is probably going to be banned via gentleman's agreement. So use this if you're just a cheeky bastard. Stack it up with your teammates as much as possible, and it gives purpose to leapers. Mirror setup, Skunk Paw mirror, really great setup. Jack up everyone's visual, tick, 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 pop out. Remember, if you're going to have a setup like this, however, one of your teammates needs to be running recon. Because if you can't see past all that smoke that you're setting on the ground, you haven't done yourself any favors. One last honorable mention that I think would definitely be the Mortal Kombat loadout. I would swap out the hookshot for a kinetic shield. So kinetic shield, Cyber Lancer, Slam Fist is definitely going to be a fan favorite as well. So that's going to wrap everything up, everybody. I hope you enjoyed October's video. I know it was a little bit longer, but you know how I get down. It seems like no matter how much I say I'm going to shorten things up, I find a way to make it longer. But we had gone in depth. We covered all the new patch notes and what you can expect from the game. We covered all the main flavor of the month weapons, because wherever there's weapons, there's going to be a meta. We went over our honorable mentions for all categories, whether that was ARs, SMGs, Marksmen Rifles, snipers, and even your sidearms. And we did go into detail on just giving you some ratings with the limb meta, whether it was arms or legs, and threw you out a couple of suggestions throughout the video. Thank you to everybody who's been sticking around, supporting us, aka Dogs, aka Holosightz TV. And until next time, folks, peace, love, and happiness.